(12A and 80G renewals will be knocking at the door soon. When the amendment was made in 2020 and the organizations were asked to revalidate their 12A and 80G registrations, the certificates that were issued under the new provisions was valid for a period of 5 years, most of them being valid up to assessment year 2026-27. Check the validity of your registrations now and let us know in the comments section till which year it is valid. Most of the organizations will come up with an answer assessment year 26-27, which means the registration is valid till financial year 25-26, or simply let us say till 31st March 2026. So when to apply for the renewal? Remember, as per the new provisions laid down in section 12A of the Income Tax Act, renewal has to be applied 6 months before the expiry of the certificate. I repeat, renewal has to be applied 6 months before the expiry of the certificate. So, all such organizations where registrations are valid till assessment year 2026-27 needs to apply for renewal before 30th September 2025. I repeat, they need to apply for renewal before 30th September 2025. Good morning friends, I am Ashis Agarwal from Team NGOenabler, and today in this video we are going to discuss a very important topic for charitable organizations: how to be 12A and 80G ready for the upcoming renewal. So this time I have already given you the background before starting the discussion, and I will request you all to be with us till the last so that you do not miss upon any important point, as you all are aware how important 12A and 80G registrations are for your organizations, and also we have an offer for you at the last. So before starting the discussion, let me ask you few questions which will in turn also give you an idea of certain things that need to be kept in mind before the renewal. Have you ever checked the conditions mentioned in final 12AB or 80G certificate, about which you are so happy that you have successfully got it last time? At the time of application, which of the charitable objects were clicked and whether your activities are actually aligned with those objects or not? Check Form 10A filed by you at that time to know the objects for which you got the registration. Whether your objects mentioned in your trust deed is aligned with the same objects and activities which is being actually carried out by your organization. Whether the objects mentioned in the FCRA certificate and that in the 12A or 80G applications matches with each other. Whether your activities fall in any one of the limbs from the definition of charitable activities. For instance, suppose if you are running a hostel for poor students but charging a nominal fee from them, that might not be considered as charitable because running a hostel is a commercial activity unless it's being run purely on donations or specifically attached to an educational institution. Moreover, even GST shall be applicable if the threshold limit is crossed. There are many such questions that can be asked in order to ensure the organization is doing all the things right to be eligible for the renewal of its registration and will have to face not much of the litigations. Finally, now let's move on to the detailed discussion and analysis which will give you a fair idea as to what should be the approach towards the preparations to be done before the application for 12A and 80G renewal. Some of these will of course revolve around the questions I asked earlier. First and foremost, the organization should have sufficiently carried out charitable activities in the past 5 years since the registration was taken or renewed. To substantiate the activities, organizations have to not only be ready with an activity report for each year, but also the expenditure side of the audited financial statements should reflect that the activities have been actually carried out. Providing photos, the list of beneficiaries or participants shall add to the authenticity of the activities. Next is the activities are aligned with the objects for which the registration was taken. Suppose at the time of application you clicked only on education and relief to poor, but are also carrying out activities which fall under the last limb of the definition, that is advancement of objects of general public utility. Though it is also considered as charitable in nature, but if the department takes a stricter view, they might consider it as the change of objects from the time of registration and might cancel the registration on those grounds. Moreover, also remember the limit of 20% of total receipts is also applicable to this limb of charitable activity as defined under the Act. Next point to remember is the trust deed or the memorandum of association should contain all the objects which are being carried out by the organization, especially the main object. Sometimes in old organizations which were registered several years ago, at that time the object was supposed education. But now the organization is also into medical or suppose yoga or any other charitable activity which do not have its mention in the deed. This will surely be counted as a major error since the organization must have amended its object clause and reapplied for registration as laid down in the provisions of the Act. The registering authority will surely raise objections and might also cancel the registration. So it's very essential for the organizations to align all their documents and the registration certificates with the activities being actually carried out by them. The major issue in this regard is for religious activities. Let me explain why. It is seen that the organizations are carrying out religious activities but have claimed themselves as only charitable organization while filing the renewal form. See, there are three options: charitable, religious, and both charitable and religious. So this selection has to be done very carefully while applying for renewal. If you are carrying out religious activities, then the registration should also be for both charitable and religious. Another important point is to ensure that the deed or the memorandum contains all the relevant points which are nowadays required statutorily by various statutory departments for charitable and religious organizations. For instance, clauses like the organization shall carry out its object without making any discrimination on the basis of and irrespective of any religion, caste, gender, creed, community, etc. and is open for all. The property and assets of the trust or society shall be utilized solely for the purpose and objects as laid out in the memorandum or the trust deed and not for the benefit of any members or their relatives in any manner whatsoever. In case of trust, irrevocability clause should be mentioned, and in case of society, dissolution clause is mandatory. The clause related to alteration of rules and regulations in the deed or the memorandum should also be there, where the mention of approval from the Commissioner of Income Tax should also be ideally there. The clauses related to specific religion or community should not be there, and many other such clauses are being looked for by the income tax authority. Next, the income tax authorities will also call for the past 3 to 5 years of your income tax returns, form number 10B or 10BB as applicable, audited financial statements, and other statutory records. So it's very essential that you must be regular in such filings and have filed all of it within the prescribed time. The audited financial statements should not contain remarks by the auditor related to any violation of the Act. The figures and details filled in various forms should be consistent and correlate with each other. They can further call for vouchers and supporting documents if they want to deep dive into certain expenditures to check its authenticity and accuracy. Out of the context, let me remind you all, didn't we ask you all to digitize your records? But I'm sure most of you wouldn't have done it yet. So now you will understand the importance when you need to scan and upload so many documents and records. Anyways, the next important point to look into is the violation of any other act. So, if your FCRA registration has been suspended or not renewed recently, this might be a matter of concern. The income tax authorities too might raise queries regarding the reason for denial, etc., and if the grounds for denial are found to be affecting the genuineness of the activities. I repeat, if the grounds for denial under FCRA are found to be affecting the genuineness of the activities or something serious has been pointed out from the concerned authority, you might end up losing your 12A registration as well. Let me tell you, violation of other laws is covered as one of the specified violations laid down in subsection 4 of section 12AB, read with subsection 1 of section 12AB of the Act, on the grounds of which the registration can be cancelled. At last, we would like to state that the form needs to be filled properly with accuracy and precision in details, and all the requisite documents should be provided as mandated along with the form, as well as when asked through the questionnaire to be followed after the filing. Towards the end of the video, we have an offer for you. Let's get your tax review done by us at a very nominal charge for the past 5 years to ensure everything is smooth and no litigations are pending or about to arise from the past filings and activities. Alternatively, you can also get a comprehensive due diligence done for all your organizational documents, which would cover FCRA review and tax review to ensure that you are ready for any queries by the income tax authorities at the time of upcoming renewal, and thus ensure that the organization sails through the renewal process smoothly and successfully. Hope you find this video meaningful. For more such updates and tutorials, visit our website or follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or mail us. Thank you.